Okay, so next match, Zod is taking on Yo. Yo's using Royal Paladin, Zod is using Murakumo. And what happens after this depends. Zod starts off with Midnight Panther. Meanwhile, Yo starts off with Holy Night Guardian, aka Perfect Guard. Puts a Lian into the drop zone onto the field. Gives Zod the ability to do a good early guard, but she chooses not to take it. Takes the damage. And now on to the next turn. Zod's grade 2 choice. White Mane. And Kuzunoha for the rear guard. Deciding to use Kokenmaru's ability to look for a grade 3. Which means either she doesn't have one or she wants the Legion. Because she has a non-Legion in hand. One or the other. No guard to the Vanguard. And it's a draw trigger. So Kuzunoha gets power and she gets a draw. She also gets an unflip because that's White Mane. And the second one gets a critical trigger. One less critical in deck. Yo rides Gildas. Drops Sodic to draw. That's an interesting choice. Calls Blaster Blade Seeker, and its ability allows him to counterblast 1 in order to retire Kuzunoha. Which actually isn't a negative thing for Zod at all. That attack is for 9k only. She just got a draw trigger. She could use it to guard right now. She's better off using it to guard. But I think she's trying to estimate whether or not she'll get a grade 3. I hope she did a double mulligan. Or more to say that she knew that she could. Because if she saw the last match, she should have realized that that is something that we're able to do. Alfred. Origins Alfred appears. So at grade 3, Zod rides Shiryuki. This is a 19 to the Vanguard, so it's good for now. If Yo wants to pass, he has to drop two 10k shields. And that was another Shiryuki, which means the skill is online. Really good ability to have against most decks, but unfortunately she needs to be at 4 damage before she can access it. If Murakumo's had a limit remover, that wouldn't be a problem, but unfortunately they don't. What makes it worse is the fact that even if you thought to tech in another clan's limit remover, Shiryuki has Lord. so she can't attack in the case that you would do that. Yo discards Sing Saver in order to do a stride. I would guard this if I was Zot, provided she has the ability. And she no guards. First check is a draw trigger. Power to rear guard. Second is Alfred. He gets a third. And it's another draw trigger. And now Zot gets a draw trigger. You get a draw trigger, and you get a draw trigger. Everyone gets a draw trigger. Superior calls Gildas because of Gobblade's ability. When it hits, you can Superior call a grade 2 from the deck. Puts it in the front row so that's an interceptor. And Zot drops 2 cards in order to defend herself. The hands are basically even, but the fields are a different story. And now Zot is activating Stride, not discarding the Shirayuki. She wants to use that skill later. I can't say I agree or disagree with that decision. It's not a bad one, per se. Calls a Kuzunoha to the rear guard, as well as Shijimaru. Shijimaru might have been a little much, to be honest. My opinion, though. No guards for the Vanguard. So the drive checks. First one is a draw trigger. Literally everyone is getting draw triggers. Second check was another draw trigger. But she didn't right click it, she accidentally left clicked again. So she puts it at the top of deck so that she can actually check it properly. And give the power to Kuzunoha. And get her draw effect. And now the third check because she gets 3. So long as she remembers that. That was the second, not the third. So the third check is a perfect guard. So Zot has options for the next turn. Damage was a Sing Saver Dragon. One just went to the drop zone as well. And the other damage is a perfect guard. Zot is getting really good fortune. So Yo is deciding to use Stride, returning Heal Trigger, Critical Trigger. He might return a Sing Saver. He's returning a Blaster Blade, both Blaster Blades. He probably won't return Sing Saver unless he rides a Sing Saver. But considering now he has 2 out of deck out of 4, the odds of him actually getting one aren't that high. Uses Gildas' Counterblast in order to bring out Octavius, and Dr. Octavius' Soul Blast 2 allows him to draw an additional card. which also puts Holy Knight Guardian into the drop zone, so if he uses a perfect guard any time after this, he's going to get an unflip. 30,000 to the Vanguard with 2 criticals. Perfect guarded. First is a Blaster Blade Seeker, and second is a Sing Saver Dragon. That's one more out of deck, but that one he can ride. He'll trigger guards. And Zat takes the second one. It's a critical trigger. You could say, had she not guarded the first one, she could have saved guard on the second. But I think she wanted that heal trigger in the drop zone. She did. Sammy appears. She gets to activate her Legion, returning the heal trigger that was just used as guard. The critical trigger. Kazuhona. And the fourth, a draw trigger. I might have went with the perfect guard, but if she wants more triggers, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now this actually creates a really good situation for Xateramusa, because with the 8k booster, it means that she has a 31k Vanguard column. We already know that he's 2 perfect guards down. With the Legion skill, he gets Kuzunoha. And with Kuzunoha's skill, she's now able to Soul Blast 1 and get a copy of something on the field out other than Kuzunoha, which in this case would be a Shijimaru, aka a booster for that unit. She has more than enough soul to do this as many times as she needs to. And with Yo having 4 damage, he is going to have to guard the Vanguard in fear of critical trigger. So it all depends on if he got a perfect guard throughout all that time. He's already 2 out of deck. So there actually is a pretty decent chance that he doesn't have one right now. And it looks like her mouse is having problems. Let me take a moment. Never mind, she fixed the problem. So now here's the scenario. Vanguard's attacking for 31. He doesn't have a perfect guard, so he has to drop a lot of hand for this. That's a 2 pass. If Zod gets 2 triggers, one being a critical, it could end here. It's a lot to ask for, but it's not impossible. First one is a perfect guard, and second is semi, so it's not happening. But that perfect guard means that she can defend against Alfred's attack on the next turn. Second attack goes for Gildas. probably suspecting that he's gonna ride Sing Saver, which is actually a pretty decent assumption. So for the last attack, 17k, Yo guards with Blaster Blade and a Lian, which actually equalizes the situation pretty well. Yo rides Sing Saver. Sing Saver only has 2 in the soul, but after Legion, he can always put File in to get out a Blaster Blade Seeker, which would give him the third. He's returning the Perfect Guard, which means he must really be hard pressed for them. The Perfect Guard, Sing Saver, and 2 criticals. He still has the 2 Blaster Blades returned from before. So that's one of his Blaster Blades. Adds that to the soul and gets the other. So by my count, 1, 2, 3, and the 4th. $22,000 to the Vanguard. If I was Zod, I'd no guard this and prepare for the second one. And that's the exact opposite of what she's doing. First check gets a heal trigger. Heals the Perfect Guard, so if a Perfect Guard does appear, once again, he gets the ability. Counter Blast 2, Soul Blast 3, discard 2 from the hand. Leanne and Sinric, I'm sorry. And we get Re-Legion with a boosted attack this time. So Counter Blast for Quintet Wall. Gets a Perfect Guard out of it. $36. It's 2 to pass on its own, and that's all she's going with. First one is a draw trigger. Gives it to the rear guard and a critical. Zot really should have taken the first attack. The very first Sing Saver attack. Because now with this one having a critical, she doesn't have a lot of resources to guard that attack. That has 2 critical on it. And she can't guard. Good game. Zod definitely put up a good effort. But unfortunately, Yo takes it. As hard as it is to say, it mostly comes from the fact that she tried to go too long without taking damage. Well, on to game 3.